Alright, let's talk about the core business, product and customers. Schedule 1 has a unique way of handling how you get your drugs, the seed supply system, and how you deliver them to buyers, the deal scheduling system. Understanding this will save you a ton of confusion. Getting your product, seeds and supplies. At the beginning, your main product is weed. To grow weed, you need seeds. As mentioned, Albert Hoover is your go-to guy for that. He's conveniently available from the very start, lurking behind the hardware store in Northtown. When you meet Albert, you can buy OG Kush seeds, the starter strain, from him. As you progress, he'll offer more strains, but don't worry about that now. One important thing, Albert might let you buy seeds on credit, if you're short on cash. It's tempting to grab a bunch, but remember, keep that debt reasonable. If you owe him more than $300, he's going to be on your case to pay up fast. And if you fail to pay, you can imagine, he'll likely cut you off, or worse. So, initial strategy, buy a few seeds with cash, from all that trash money you earned, right? And maybe take 1 or 2 on credit if absolutely needed, but pay it back quick. Plant those seeds in your grow setup. Each seed you plant will grow into a cannabis plant that yields bud you can sell. After harvest, you do not get new seeds from the plant, at least not in the current game. Maybe one day they'll add cloning or seed extraction, but for now, you'll be going back to Albert for more. So make sure to always save some profit to reinvest in more seeds. A common mistake is selling all your weed, spending the money and forgetting to buy new seeds. Then you're stuck with no product to sell. Oops. Don't let that happen. Keep the cycle going. Buy seeds, grow, harvest, sell, buy more seeds. As you expand, you'll encounter new suppliers for other drugs. Shirley Watts for pseudo, to cook meth, in Westville, and Salvador Moreno for coca seeds, to grow coca for cocaine, in the Docks region. Each of those has unlock requirements, like making friends with certain people and clearing specific debts or missions. As a beginner, you won't reach them for a while, so focus on mastering weed first. Just know that the process will be similar. Meet the supplier, get the raw materials, seeds or precursors for meth, and build up production. Delivering to customers. Now let's talk about the other side, getting your product into customers' hands. Schedule 1 isn't like some games where you stand on a corner and magically people come up to you. Instead, it uses a phone and scheduling system. Here's how it works. You'll have a phone, in-game smartphone, that acts as your hub for communications. Customers will text you orders. In the beginning, you don't have any customers, so the game will guide you to find some. Usually, you'll start by offering a free sample to someone to turn them into a customer. The rule is, you can't just sell to strangers. You need an introduction, or at least the pretense of one. The game's contact web will show you potential clients and how they connect. For your very first deals, the game might give you an initial contact, or you'll meet someone like a tutorial deal. After that, grow your customer base by handing out samples. If you meet someone new who might be into your product, give them a little for free. If they like it, they'll start ordering from you regularly. It sounds counterintuitive to give away drugs, but it's a classic tactic. A freebie now means a paying client later. And in Schedule 1, it's the only way to unlock certain buyers. Once customers start texting you, you'll see requests like, "Hey, can you get me 3 grams of product?" on your phone. You can confirm the order and set a meetup time and place. This is where scheduling comes in. You might have multiple orders at once and you have to manage your time to fulfill them. Don't accept too many overlapping deals until you get the hang of distances and timing. If you show up late to a deal, the customer will be unhappy or may even bail. In fact, being late, selling poor quality, or overcharging are the 3 things that will upset customers and ruin your relationship. The game is pretty realistic about this. Customers expect good quality, fair price, and you being on time. Early on, the game is forgiving. If you're a little late or your weed is kinda mediocre, the first few customers won't ditch you immediately. But as you expand into pickier neighborhoods, they'll expect more. To keep yourself on schedule, space out your deliveries. Don't agree to meet Alice at 1 o'clock and Bob at 1:05 on opposite sides of town. You'll be scrambling. Instead, maybe set Alice for 1 o'clock and Bob for 1:30. etc. Use your phone's map and clock to plan a sensible route. Also, prepare your product before you meet. Bag up the correct amounts ahead of time so you're not fumbling in front of the buyer. If you promise 3 grams, have a 3-gram baggie ready. The phone interface will usually let you select the product to hand over, but it's best to be organized. Now here's a clutch tip about delivery times. The game has a curfew from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. overnight, when police are actively patrolling. We'll cover dealing with cops in a moment. Interestingly, selling during curfew actually gives you a cash bonus, hazard pay, I guess. If you're feeling brave, you can intentionally schedule some deals in the middle of the night to earn a bit more per sale. How much more? It's not huge, but those extra dollars stack up over several deals. One strategy is to queue up a bunch of deliveries for late night. In fact, a trick in the community is to queue all your sales toward the end of the night, because at 4 a.m., time kind of pauses. The in-game clock doesn't go past 4 until you sleep. That means any pending deals won't expire after that time. Essentially, you could stack deliveries at 3:50 a.m., 3:55 a.m., etc., and they'll stay active as the day flips, letting you complete them without expiration. This is a bit of an exploit, but it works due to how the day-night cycle is coded. For beginners, you don't need to go wild with that trick, but it's useful to know. The main point? Being out at night can be profitable but risky. So let's address that risk. The police. Outsmarting the police and surviving curfew. Highland Point has a police force that doesn't appreciate your entrepreneurial spirit, especially after dark. Every night a curfew goes into effect, you'll see a warning like, "Police curfew in effect until 5 a.m. on your HUD. During curfew hours, cops will patrol the streets more heavily. If they catch you outside, they'll suspect you of trouble. And if they catch you doing a deal or carrying drugs, you're in big trouble. But don't worry. With a few tricks, you can deal at night and not get caught. Selling during curfew can be lucrative, but watch out for the cops. Notice the on-screen alert. Police curfew in effect until 5 a.m. If you risk late-night deals, be ready to hide or run at a moment's notice. How to hide from the cops. The good news is that the police in Schedule 1 are pretty easy to evade once you know how. If you're out past curfew and you see a cop or hear sirens, don't panic. Usually you can break line of sight and hide behind a building, fence, or even crouch behind a car, and the officer will wander off none the wiser. The AI isn't superhuman. They won't magically know where you are if you duck away quickly. Use the darkness to your advantage. If you're carrying product and you suspect a cop's about to stop you, you have a couple of options. Play it cool if you're clean. If by chance you're not holding anything illegal, no drugs on you, maybe just cash or legal items, you could just walk normally. If they stop you, you've got nothing on you. They might just warn you or fine you for curfew and send you home. But let's be real. Most of the time you will have something illegal on you. Dump your stash if you have contraband. Schedule 1 actually provides a neat way to quickly ditch items. On your phone interface, there's a discard slot in the bottom right where you can drag items to instantly drop them. So imagine you've got a bag of meth on you and suddenly a flashlight beam is on you. Open that phone fast and drag the meth to discard. It'll drop on the ground. You might lose that product if you can't retrieve it, but better than getting busted with it. You can always come back for it after the cop leaves. Just remember where you dropped it. Run. If things go south, you can always sprint away, jump fences, zigzag through alleys. The cops aren't crack commandos. You can usually outrun or outmaneuver them. There's talk that in the future the dev will add more parkour moves so we can free run across the city. If that happens, outrunning cops will be even easier. For now, basic sprint and jump works. Working during curfew. As mentioned, there's a financial incentive to risk night deals, a little bonus cash per sale. If you're cautious, night can actually be the best time to work because regular folks are off the streets. Think about it. Fewer pedestrians means fewer witnesses. The only people out are your fellow criminals and the cops. So adopt a hit-and-run strategy. Accept an order, step out, make sure the coast is clear, complete the deal fast. The customer will usually appear at the meeting spot on time. They want to get out of there too. Use darkness for cover. If you see a police car or hear footsteps, hold off and wait in a safe spot. It can be a bit tense, but that's part of the fun and the extra cash reward. One more thing on cops, don't fight them, at least not as a beginner. You might eventually get guns or weapons, but engaging the police in combat is a recipe for disaster. Not only can you get arrested or killed, but it also raises the heat on your operations. Down the line, the game plans to introduce a system of property heat and police raids on your stash houses. That means if you cause too much trouble, the cops might raid your place and seize your goods. They're even planning an evidence room mechanic where you might have a chance to recover confiscated items. Imagine breaking into the police station to steal your stuff back. That's for the future, though. For now, just keep your head down and don't attract more attention than necessary. Remember, cops can't bust what they can't find. If you're careful, you can work every night and never get caught. Many players find it hilariously easy to avoid the cops by simply hiding behind something when the blues show up. Use that to your advantage, and if you do get chased, lead them on a merry foot chase around some buildings and they'll likely give up. As a backup, it might be wise to stash a spare set of your product in a hidden spot, or with a friend, co-op partner, so that if you do get caught and lose what you're carrying, you're not totally wiped out. Curfew. Summary: night equals more money, more risk. But with stealth and smart tactics, you minimize that risk. It's totally viable to run your dealing mostly at night once you're comfortable. Just always have an exit plan when a cop shows up. Hide, dump, or run. And in the future, who knows? You might be bribing the police to leave you alone entirely. Yes, police bribery is on the roadmap. Zrania, meaning one day you could just pay off an officer to look the other way. Making the most of the UI and hidden mechanics. Schedule 1's interface and game mechanics have a few quirks that, once you learn them, make life a lot easier. The game doesn't always explain these, so let me give you some UI tips and hidden mechanics that most beginners miss. Inventory management and the phone. Discard. We touched on this, but to reiterate, your phone isn't just for texts. It has an inventory management function with a discard slot in the bottom right corner. Any item you drag there will be dropped, deleted from inventory. This is super useful for ditching contraband quickly if needed, or just cleaning up your inventory. Also, note that items in the world, on the ground or in containers, persist for a while. You can create a little stash spot by dropping items in a hidden corner. Just remember to pick them up before too long. I usually try not to leave things more than a day in game, to be safe. The mixing table trick. At some point early on, you'll unlock a mixing station. The game gives you one maybe after you obtain the sweatshop property, or you can buy one. Even if you're not doing complex mixes yet, you might use it to mix strains or cut products later. A neat trick, right-clicking items in the mixing table UI lets you pick up multiple items at once. This means if you have, say, several jars or baggies on the table, you can right-click each to tag them, and then collect them in one go instead of one by one. It's a small quality of life thing, but it saves time and clicks. Mixing isn't worth it. Yet. Speaking of the mixing station, a big newbie temptation is to start playing mad scientist with your product right away. The truth is, mixing and processing drugs is not worth the effort in the early game. When you first get the ability to mix, combine strains, cut weed with other stuff, cook meth mixtures, etc., you might spend a lot of time doing it only to find the profit increase is minimal, and it's a huge hassle when you're solo, as you have to manually drag ingredients, wait for the process, and so on. One guide pointed out that the price increase you get from, say, mixing something into your weed or producing a special blend is just not significant enough early on. It becomes more worthwhile later when you can hire workers or automate parts of the process. Early game, your time is better spent expanding your client list and growing more raw product. So don't stress about the mixing station when you unlock it. Feel free to ignore it until you're bigger. Use that money instead to buy more grow tents and storage. But don't overbuy. Just scale your grow so you can keep planting seeds consistently. For example, have maybe 2 to 3 tents if you can afford it, and rotate crops so something's always growing. Also, sprinklers. These are auto-watering devices for your plants. They sound awesome, less micromanaging watering, but note that each tent needs its own sprinkler and they cost money. It adds up. You might skip sprinklers at first and just water by hand until you're flush with cash. It's not that hard to water a few plants. Stacking trash bags. Another quirky mechanic. Remember our garbage collecting? The trash bags you find or fill can actually hold more than the standard trash can. A trick from players is to pile trash in a corner. Just throw all the junk on the ground in one spot, then use a trash bag or container to pick it all up at once. This way you can hoard a bunch of trash and turn it in with fewer trips. It's a minor exploit in how much a trash bag can carry versus your hands. Shop inventory order. Here's an obscure but useful one. When you buy multiple items from a shop, the order you add them to your cart is the order they appear in your inventory. You can use this to organize things. For example, if you plan to mix a batch that requires a sequence, like ingredient A, then B, then C, you can buy them in that order so they show up nicely sorted in your inventory for easy access. It saves a bit of searching and dragging around in your bag. Dealer auto packaging. Once you start using hired dealers, we'll talk more about them soon, know that they have some smart automation too. If you give a dealer larger quantities, like jars of weed, the dealer will split jars into smaller baggies to fulfill customer orders if needed. For instance, if a dealer's customer wants 3 grams and you only supplied the dealer with a jar of 10 grams, the dealer can portion it out. However, if you completely fill the dealer's inventory slots with just jars and no free space, they won't have room to make baggies for those small orders. So it's good to leave at least one empty slot or give them a stack of empty baggies so they can do their thing. The game doesn't explicitly tell you this, and some newbies get frustrated that their dealer isn't selling to customers who want less than a jar. That's why. Dealer money collection. Another hidden gem. Money that your street dealers collect can be left with them safely in their stash for a time. If you don't immediately go and grab the cash they made, it's okay. They will only ever take the cut they're owed and leave the rest for you. This means you can let their earnings accumulate and pick it up later rather than running to them after each sale. Some new players think, oh no, if I leave $500 with my dealer, will he steal it? No, he won't. Dealers in this game are remarkably honest with the money, perhaps less so with the product if you don't supply enough. So don't waste time hand counting cash after every deal. Let it pile up a bit and grab it in one go. This is likely what the tip about hand counting cash as a mistake refers to, doing unnecessary work that the game automates for you. All these little tips and tricks add up to make the game smoother. The UI has its quirks, but once you get used to them, you can exploit them to save time and avoid frustration. Always remember to check the community for these tidbits. The Schedule 1 player base is pretty active in sharing tips, Steam forums, Reddit, etc., and even the solo dev chimes in with advice sometimes. For example, the dev confirmed the full list of planned drugs on the forums, and gave insights that help players plan ahead. Keep an eye out for those nuggets of information. Growing your empire, scaling up and avoiding pitfalls. By now you should be making some steady cash from weed sales, avoiding or outrunning the cops, and keeping customers happy. So what's next? Scaling up. The goal in Schedule 1 is to go from a solo street dealer to a drug kingpin with a network of dealers and multiple drug products. Let's discuss how to scale up smartly and cover the common mistakes to avoid as you grow. 1. Expand your product line. Carefully. Once you have weed on lock, you might be eager to start selling meth or coke for bigger profits. Yes, those do sell for more, but they also come with more complexity and risk. To get into meth, you'll need to unlock Shirley Watts in Westville to supply pseudo, component placement, and probably invest in some lab equipment, like a stove oven for cooking. Similarly, coke will require unlocking Salvador in the docks and growing coca plants later. As a beginner, don't rush into new drugs too fast. Each new drug type can complicate your operation. You'll have to manage different ingredients, potentially new mixing processes, and new customer expectations. A good rule is, expand to a new drug only when you have the current one running smoothly and profitably. For example, if you have more weed than you can sell, or enough money to spare, and some customers are asking for other stuff, that's a sign you can branch out. Until then, there's no shame in being just the weed guy for a while. It's better than being the weed plus meth guy who can't keep up and gets busted because he overextended. 2. Unlocking dealers. You can't do everything alone forever. Schedule 1 lets you recruit up to 6 dealers who will sell for you in different neighborhoods. These dealers are game changers for scaling up. They handle multiple clients automatically and generate income while you focus elsewhere. But to recruit them, you need to play the social game. Each dealer is connected to certain customers in their area. To unlock a dealer, make friends with a customer who knows them. Practically, this means getting a customer's relationship status to friendly, maxing their satisfaction. As noted earlier, deliver good quality, fair prices, and be punctual. When a customer really likes you, eventually they'll message you saying, "Hey, I can introduce you to my friend dealer name." That's your cue. For example, in Northtown, impressing someone like Beth or Chloe might unlock Benji Coleman, the local dealer at Motel Room 2. Each neighborhood has a web of contacts you can see on your phone. Use that to plan who to schmooze. Once a dealer is unlocked, meet them, and they'll start buying product from you to sell on the streets. A crucial tip for using dealers: assign the right customers to them. You can actually hand off some of your current customers to work with your dealer instead, through the phone's dealer management app. It's smart to assign customers who live near that dealer, so it's efficient, and to give the dealer customers that have tastes matching what the dealer has in stock. But keep your best high-paying customers for yourself. Why? Because dealers take a cut of the profit. If there's a rich client who buys in bulk, you want 100% of that money, not the reduced cut after the dealer's share. Use dealers to handle the mid-tier clientele and the far-flung ones that are a pain for you to reach. That way, you maximize profit and minimize your own legwork. Common mistake: hiring a dealer and then neglecting to keep them supplied. Dealers don't magic up drugs. You have to regularly deliver product to them just like you would a customer, except in larger quantity. If a dealer runs out of inventory, they can't sell, and you're losing money. So schedule time to top off your dealers with jars of product. The earlier tip about giving them jars and leaving space applies. Keep their stash balanced so they can service various order sizes. Check in on their sales every so often. The phone will usually show how much they've sold and earned. Collect cash when convenient, but you can let it accumulate a bit since they won't steal from you. 3. Property upgrades. As you earn more, you'll want better hideouts and facilities. The motel room is a start, but it's small. The game offers other properties, like a bungalow, a warehouse at the docks, a Chinese restaurant, sweatshop, even businesses like a laundromat or car wash that double as money laundering fronts. Each property offers more space and sometimes special functions, e.g., the laundromat can clean your dirty cash through fake revenue. A common newbie error is saving up a bunch of cash and not investing in a better base. If you find yourself with tens of thousands of dollars stuffed in your mattress, it might be time to buy that warehouse or upscale hideout. More space means more grow rooms, more storage, and less chance of everything being lost in one raid. In the future, properties might have individual heat levels. Zrania, so diversifying where you keep stuff could be wise. Also consider vehicles as part of property, a garage to store them, etc. Right now, the cheapest car isn't very useful. One player noted the cheap cars have little inventory space and are hardly better than just working from the bungalow by the gas station. So, maybe skip the lowest tier car. Instead, as a beginner, the best vehicle is actually the skateboard. Yes, you can buy a skateboard early on for under $100 at the Shred Shack near the motel. Grab one. To use it, equip it and hold left click or your use key to ride. It'll let you travel faster than sprinting with very little effort, and it's way cheaper than a car. The fancier boards go a bit faster but cost more, and you're better off saving money for now. Eventually, when you can afford a decent car or van, you'll get one, especially as new areas open up and you might have to travel farther. But for the early game, a skateboard will do just fine to zip around Northtown and Westville. Plus, a skateboard is low profile. Cops don't seem to mind a dude on a board as much as a suspicious vehicle speeding at 2 a.m. 4. Manage your finances, don't waste supplies or money. As you scale, always reinvest a chunk of your earnings back into the business. More seeds, more equipment, maybe hiring an employee, if that becomes an option, or upgrading your stash house security. But avoid wasting money on flashy things too soon. It's easy to blow cash on, say, a new outfit or a fancy item you don't really need yet. Stay frugal until your money makes money. Similarly, don't waste your drug supplies. A few examples of waste: overcutting your product. If you try to stretch your product by adding too much filler when mixing, you might end up with a lower quality that customers hate, losing repeat business. Or they pay you less. Strike a balance, or better yet, keep quality high until you have a surplus. Letting crops die. If you forget to water your plants or harvest them, that's money down the drain. Set a routine to tend your grows. Maybe do it first thing every morning, in-game morning. Excess inventory sitting idle. If you have a huge stock of unsold product, that's wasted potential. Either you need more customers, dealers, or you should slow down production. It's a balancing act. Ideally, whatever you grow or produce gets sold quickly so you can reinvest. If you find you have, say, pounds of weed just collecting dust, consider lowering your prices a bit to move it, or converting some into another form that might sell. Edibles in the future. Who knows? 5. Avoiding trouble. As your empire grows, you might attract attention from rival gangs or cartels in the future. The dev plans to add AI rival crews who might mess with you. Currently, you're somewhat the lone big player, but that will change. Even now, don't make unnecessary enemies. Pay back any debts, like that Albert Seed debt, or later maybe a loan shark if those exist. If you borrow from the warehouse or church characters as part of unlocking suppliers, repay those debts. The Times of India guide hinted that key relationships and debt management are crucial. In other words, keep folks happy. You don't want someone sending thugs to collect because you didn't pay up. Finally, use your money to make life easier. For example, hire drivers or couriers once that becomes available. It's on the roadmap that you can hire logistics workers to help distribute. Or buy better equipment that automates tasks. The game is in early access, and they're continually adding quality of life improvements, so take advantage of them as they come. By following these scaling tips, you'll go from slinging dime bags in alleyways to running a city-wide narcotics network. It's incredibly satisfying to see your operation grow, more dealers, more areas unlocked, and your bank account swelling. Just remember the humble beginnings and fundamentals. Keep customers happy, reinvest wisely, and stay out of jail. Roadmap and upcoming features. What's next for Schedule 1? Schedule 1 is already a pretty deep game, but it's just the beginning. The developer, TVGS, has laid out a detailed roadmap of features and content planned for the future, and it's exciting. Here's a sneak peek at some of the biggest upcoming features that are going to make the game even more complex and fun. New drug types and forms. Right now we've got weed, meth, and coke, but soon the roster of drugs will expand. The dev confirmed that the planned list of sellable drugs includes shrooms, magic mushrooms, MDMA, ecstasy, and even heroin. These will come with new suppliers and probably new processing mechanics, e.g. maybe you'll grow shrooms or cook MDMA in a lab. Heroin might involve poppy fields or chemical processing. We'll see. They're also considering different product forms. This could mean things like edibles, weed brownies, THC gummies, pills, powders, etc. Imagine customizing not just what drug you sell, but the format it's in to suit customer preferences. All of that is on the table. Once these new drugs drop, your empire can diversify even further. You might specialize or become a one-stop drug shop. Just be ready. More drug types will likely mean more equipment and more learning, but by then, you'll be a pro. Custom packaging. Tired of selling in generic baggies? The game will let you create your own packaging and labels for your products. This is super cool because it's not just cosmetic. In a drug empire, branding can set you apart. Think Blue Sky from Breaking Bad. You could have signature packaging that customers recognize, possibly even affecting demand. It's part flavor, part function. Maybe you'll design a logo for your cartel and slap it on all your bags of heroin. Who knows? This feature will add a personal touch and could tie into reputation, e.g., higher-tier clients might expect more professional packaging. Traveling customers. Right now, your customer base is mostly static in each neighborhood. Upcoming updates will introduce traveling customer groups. These are special NPC groups like biker gangs, hippies, or rival gangsters who come through town occasionally looking to buy. They'll have specific product preferences. For example, a biker gang passing through might want a bunch of meth, while a group of festival-bound hippies might be shopping for shrooms and weed. These traveling customers will likely be big sales opportunities, but may be temporary. You'll have to be ready to supply them when they're in town, or you miss out until they come back. It adds a dynamic aspect to your clientele, not just the same faces, but surprise buyers that require you to stock up certain drugs. Rival cartels and territory. The roadmap hints at cartel interactions and fighting. This means eventually, you won't be the only game in town. NPC rivals might try to muscle into your territory or sabotage you. You might have to defend your turf or even take out competitors. This could introduce combat, or at least strategy. Maybe you'll have to hire guards or engage in diplomacy, or just buy out the competition. It'll make the late game more challenging and lively, as opposed to just printing money with no opposition. Emotes and music system. On the lighter side, they plan to add character emotes, gestures, dances, etc., and a jukebox/radio system for music. These don't directly affect your drug empire, but they enhance the social and fun aspect of the game, especially in co-op. Emotes mean you and your friends can celebrate a big sale with a dance or taunt the cops with a gesture. The music system likely means you can play tunes in your properties or maybe have a boombox on the street, adding to that immersive vibe. Imagine cooking meth in your warehouse while listening to your favorite tracks. Atmospheric, right? Property customization and new areas. Tired of your dingy motel decor? Fear not. Property customization and renovation is coming. You'll be able to spruce up your hideouts, not only to make them look nicer, finally cover up those bloodstains on the walls, but possibly to add functional upgrades. Maybe you'll install better locks, hidden compartments, or aesthetic touches like neon signs for your secret nightclub in the back of the laundromat. Along with that, new areas of the map are planned, specifically expansions to the southwest and northeast of Highland Point. Word is these might include a wealthy gated community. Imagine selling high-end designer drugs to rich suburbanites, and a gritty ghetto or lower income area with its own unique opportunities and challenges. New areas mean new customers, new safe houses, and likely new story content or quests. The city will get bigger and your operation can spread further. Raids and police upgrades. We've talked about police, but it's currently fairly low stakes. In the future, expect the police AI to get an upgrade. They're planning proper police raids on your properties if you attract too much heat. That means if you've been sloppy or too high profile, cops might kick down your door. You'll have to defend your stash, which could involve a shootout if you're armed, or a frantic escape through a back window. Also, the mention of a police evidence room on the roadmap means if you do get busted and they seize your drugs or money, there might be a chance to retrieve it by infiltrating the station. This could be a whole mini-mission where you bribe an officer. Bribery system is coming too. Or perform a stealth break-in to get your stuff back. It adds a whole new layer to the cat-and-mouse game with law enforcement. New ways to get around. Parkour and sewers. To cope with a larger map and more dangerous law enforcement, you'll get new mobility options. Parkour mechanics are in the works. Soon, you might be able to climb up buildings, jump between rooftops, and find creative escape routes. That'll make both exploring and escaping more fun. Additionally, a sewer network is planned. You might be able to move through underground tunnels to get across town unseen, or use sewers to hide from cops during a chase. Maybe even stash contraband down there. It sounds like Highland Point's underbelly will be just as important as the streets above. Mini-games, fishing and shooting range. Crime is stressful. Sometimes you need a break. The dev is adding some side activities like a fishing minigame. Yes, you'll be able to go fishing. Maybe you can sell the fish for extra cash to a character named Randy, as hinted. Component placement or even find rare items while fishing. Who throws an AK-47 in a lake? I don't know, but maybe you'll fish up something cool. There's also mention of a gun range/shooting range minigame. This likely ties into gunplay. You can practice with your weapons, maybe improve your aim or just blow off steam-popping targets. It fits with the theme. After all, what good is a drug empire without some firepower? Expect new weapons too. The roadmap hints at things like a higher capacity pistol, maybe more guns. Vehicles and logistics. New vehicles like a van are on the horizon. A van would be perfect for bulk deliveries or mobile labs, Breaking Bad style. We might also see other vehicles, motorcycles, perhaps even a rideable wheelchair for kicks, as the dev jokingly listed. And importantly, they plan to implement hireable drivers and a logistics system. That means you could have people deliver product for you, or transport goods between your properties. Imagine assigning a driver to take a trunk full of cocaine from your lab at the barn to your dealer in Uptown, freeing you to manage other stuff. That's real kingpin stuff, delegating the dirty work. Co-op enhancements. Schedule 1 already supports up to 4-player co-op. Future updates will likely polish that experience, with things like in-game voice chat. So you don't need Discord, and better co-op interactions. Emotes and music feed into this, making multiplayer hangouts more fun. So if you're playing with friends, the game will only get better at facilitating that group of pals running a drug ring feeling. And there's more beyond even these. Community translations, so more languages. Quality of life UI improvements, like better item sorting, save file management. And even silly stuff like a rideable wheelchair, maybe as a joke vehicle. The developer has a Trello board full of ideas, and they're listening to player suggestions. The game will be in early access for around 2 years with monthly updates planned. Logically means frequent new content and tweaks. It's one of those games that's going to evolve a lot, so what's true now might change in a few months. Keep an eye on patch notes and don't be afraid to start a new game down the line to experience new features from scratch. For us as players, the roadmap means replayability and longevity. You might finish all current content, but 6 months from now there might be new drugs to sell, new territories to conquer, and new systems to master. It's an exciting time to be a Schedule 1 player. You're basically along for the ride in the creation of the ultimate drug-dealing sim. So stick with it, keep giving feedback to the dev if you have ideas, and watch Highland Point turn into a sprawling living world of crime and chaos. That's it, folks. Everything a beginner needs to know to start thriving in Schedule 1. We covered a lot, from starting tips and money tricks to dealing with cops, managing customers, scaling up with dealers, and even what cool stuff is coming in future updates. With this knowledge, you should be well on your way to running the kind of drug empire that would make Walter White or Tony Montana proud. Okay, maybe with a bit more humor and a lot more street cleaning on the side. Remember to play it smart, take it slow, and enjoy the process of growing your business. Highland Point is your playground now, so get out there and run it. Oh, and one last thing before you get back to the grind. Subscribe to the channel for more guides and tips, and stay safe out there in the streets.